All right, so this is continuing on about factoring linear expressions. So in the last video, we learned how to do it drawing a picture. So let's remind ourselves how to do that. So if we have an expression of 8x plus 12, you can see they've broken it down into 4 groups. And then what's in each group is 2 x's plus 3 positives, okay? So remember, that would look like 4 groups of 2x plus 3. And remember, to prove that, we would distribute, okay? So 4 times 2x and 4 times 3. So that's 8x plus 12, which is what we started with, okay? All right, so, but what happens if the numbers are real big or you just don't want to draw a picture? Well, let's find out what they have in common. Let's look at our factors, okay? Our math facts. So you can see a couple of examples on here, okay? So let's look at this. All right, so let's take a look at the number 12. 12 is 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4, okay? 28c is 1 times 28 times c, right? 2 times 14 times c. Let's see, 4 times 7 times c. All right, now take a look at these numbers. What is the biggest number that they have in common? Okay, the biggest number. All right, well, so they both have a 1, they both have a 2, they don't both have a 3, they both have a 4, don't both have a 6, no. All right, oh, there it is, that 4 is the biggest number they have in common. So that's the number that's going to go on the outside, right? That's their greatest common factor. Then we would write what's left over. So in this case, right, in the number of 12, right, the 3 is left over, right? And then on 28c, the 7c is left over. This is kind of a weird way to write it because there's not an actual expression here, but I wanted you to see what they have in common. So this number is called the greatest common factor, or the GCF. Okay, it's the number they both have. Okay? All right, let's look at B. I don't have much space here, so I'm going to move it up here. Okay? So I have 25x. Let's break that down. So we have 1 times 25 times x and 5 times 5 times x. Okay? Let's look at 15xy. So 1 times 15 times x times y, and 3 times 5 times x times y. So now let's find the biggest number they have in common, okay? Well, they both have a 1, they don't both have a 3, they both have a 5, and that's as far as they go. So they both have a 5. So that 5 is going to be our GCF, our greatest common factor, okay? And then we write down what they have that's left. Oh, I forgot, look it, they both have an X also. You see that? So actually, their GCF is 5x. Then we write what's left over. So of this number, there's only a 5 left over. And of this number, we have a 3 and a y left over. Okay, the 3 and the y. So you have to remember that. Okay, let's look at the next one. So 42. So 1 times 42 times m times n. 2 times 21 times m times n. If you don't know your math facts and you don't have your multiplication chart on you, you can also play with your calculator. So if you go 42 divided by 3, it goes in nicely, right? 3 times 14 m n. Okay, 42 divided by 4. Oh, that's not nice. 42 divided by 5. Oops. 42 divided by 5. Nope, that's not nice either. 42 divided by 6. Yep, that's a nice one. So 6 times 7 m n. Okay, let's look at the other number, 14. So 1 times 14 times m times n. And 2 times 7 times n, m times n. Okay, so now let's figure out what do they have in common. So the biggest number that they have in common is actually that 14. Do you see it? So we're going to put the 14 here, but look what else they have in common. They have an m and they have the n. Okay, so what are they left with? On this one, they're left with the 3. On this one, they're left with the 1. Okay, so you have to look at what they're being left with. Okay, so these are very similar to the problems that we saw on the previous lesson, okay, where we drew a picture and we wrote what there was. But now we're going to do it with factor trees, okay? So 4 is 1 times 4x and 2 times 2x. Okay, 28, 1 times 28, 2 times 14. My marker is dying apparently. Okay, and then 4 times 7. Okay, so what do they have in common? They have that 4 in common. So that 4 is what's going to come on the outside. Then what's left in this row right here after I take the 4 away? The 1 and the x. Okay, minus, because there's a minus there. And then what's left in this row? If I take the 4 away, the 7. Okay, let's look here. 1 times 3x. 1 times 33y, or 3 times 11y. Okay, so look what they have in common. They have a 3. So the 3 goes on the outside, and then what's left? The 1x, there's a plus sign, and then what's left here? The 11y. Okay, 1 times 4x and 2 times 2x. 1 times 35, or 5 times 7. Okay, so they only have a 1 in common. They have nothing else. So a 1 could maybe come out front, and then what's left? The 4x, and then what's left here? The 35. So in actuality, this cannot be factored? Because 1 didn't change the problem. It still says 4x plus 35. Okay. All right, so let's look at our factors. So 32, 1 times 32x, 2 times 16x, 3 times 14x. Oops. Maybe not. Nope, that's not a good one. (32) divided by 4. There we go. 4 times 8x. 32 can't divide by 5 because it's not a 0 or a 5. So let's see, 6. Nope. 32 divided by 7. Nope. And we already have 8. So that's our factors. All righty. Let's look at our 18. So 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. Okay, so then what's the biggest number they have in common? They have a 1, they have a 2, no 4, no 3, no 6. Oh, so we got to go back. 2 is the biggest number they have in common. Okay, that's the GCF. And then you write what's left. Okay, so there's a 16x here, and there's a 9 for that one. Okay, let's try the next one. 1 times 27s and 3 times 9s. One times 54st, 2 times 17, nope, 27, st. Again, if you're not sure, just try numbers. So 54 divided by 3. Oh, that works. 3 times 18. 54 divided by 4. Nope. 54 divided by 6. Yep, 9. All right, so now let's find things they have in common. So they have a 1, no 2, they have a 3, they have a 9, they have a 27. Oh, that's the biggest number. They also have an S in common. Now, so what's left? A 1 and a 2t. Okay. 1 times 18 CD, 2 times 9 CD, 3 times 6 CD. You'll get better at finding your math facts, but use your multiplication chart if you need it. Okay, so 1 times 30 CD, 2 times 15 CD, 3 times 10, and 5 times 6. So then what's the biggest number they have in common? They have a 1, they have a 2, they have a 3, they have a 6. I don't see anything else, so 6 it is. They also have a C on both sides and a D on both sides. So then what's left? 3 and 5. You'll get used to it. Just write it out. Use some scratch paper. Okay, so here, 1 times 36x, 2 times 18x, 3 times 12x, and 4 times 9x. 24. 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. So what's the biggest number they have in common? The 12. So 12 is going to come on the outside, and then we write what's left over. So look here, the 12 is gone, and we're left with 3x. Plus, then here, the 12 is gone, so we're left with the 2. Okay. 1 times 4x, 2 times 2x, 1 times 9, and 3 times 3. Okay, take a look. What numbers do they have in common? They only have a 1 in common. Does 1 change anything? No, it does not. So this cannot be factored. This would be your answer. You cannot do anything else with it. All right, let's take a look. 1 times 14x and 2 times 7x. 1 times 16y, 2 times 8y, and 4 times 4y. So what's the biggest number they have in common? The 2. So what's left here? 7x minus what's left here? 8y. Okay, and then last but not least, before you start your little assignment. Okay, so 25x. So 1 times 25 and 5 times 5x. Okay, 120. So 1 times 120, 2 times 60, 3 times 40, 4 times 30, 5 times so 120 divided by 5 gives us 24. 6 times 20. Okay, and so I could keep going, but take a look. They don't have a 25 in common, but they do have a 5 in common. So that is the number on the outside. Then what's left? 5x plus 24. Okay. Factoring is the opposite of the distributive property. Find what they have in common. Okay. If you are still not sure, don't do the assignment until you ask. Okay. Good luck.